We finished our first season with a 4-8 record, and we left off entering our first offseason where we see 31 players leaving via graduation or transfer. We only have 2 persuasions, so the first one has to be for the quarterback TJ Stanley. We won't have anyone else if he decides to leave, but he stays and that will figure out a quarterback position for now. But we'll need to improve on our play style to convince him to stay next year. I was conflicted on the next player to attempt to retain. Marlon Dean and Damian Wilson were up for consideration, but their injury bar scared me. So I decided to go after Josiah Robinson instead, and he has more eligibility time. But he does not return. As we dive into the offseason, we see that Ted Hurst does get drafted in the 7th round. While that's exciting, the alarming factor is that we are now demoted to a 0-star program. This was surprising being that we won 1 extra game than the season prior, so that unfortunately impacts our status immediately because the transfer portal was a nightmare. Even this 5-star locked us out even though we met his deal breakers. There were also no 4-stars interested, or 3s, well 1, and of course we'll add him to our board ASAP. That player is Jordan Ross. If you'll notice, it doesn't take us much to scout now because of our new coordinators. And Jordan Ross is priority number 1 for the offseason. We were leading for the remainder of the high school recruits, so I wasn't stressing that too much. I wanted to focus on transfers and make sure we show that we're better than a 0-star school next year. There were some 2-stars in the transfer that I was intrigued by. Camreen Johnson from Wake Forest and Kenzie Paul, who was with the Duke team that nearly won the national championship. How about a kicker? Liam Rickman is a senior now, and Jesus Eurisha has shown me enough with 88 kick power. I was a bit nervous though because it was week 4 in the offseason and we have yet to land any commits. Even the 2 guys in the transfer portal that I wanted have locked us out. I promise you'll get playing time on this roster. But as we continued, a bunch of players were committed to Georgia State. It would take forever if we went through each graphic, but we ended up landing 25 total players, and unfortunately, I forgot to see where we were ranked in the class. Jordan Ross goes to Vandy, however, and that's been a trend here in this series, but luckily he's just normal development. Unfortunately, we also missed out on other transfers to Missouri State and Kent State, but JJ Levin is impact and headed to Jack State. For the guys we do have, Terrell Bloomberg is the only elite dev trait, and 4-star running back Hakeem and Dion Rawlings is star development. We also have 5 more players after that with impact development, including the transfer Camreen Johnson, who did decide to join us. In the position changing stage, I didn't want to mess with it too much because there's too many buggy things happening. Charlie Connell is the only guy I would change because he's an athlete projected to be a quarterback. He is a better tight end, but we are playing him as a quarterback because we only have 4 on the roster. My favorite part of the offseason is training results. I opted to keep it auto because I enjoy the randomness of not knowing how guys will develop. TJ Stanley had a minimum upgrade and currently will be our starting quarterback. I'm excited to see if he can produce a bunch of these throws after this redshirt season. Every running back had a pretty solid upgrade, but Tawan Payton went up +4, but also gained 6 pounds of muscle. He was a pretty strong runner with the ball in his hands, and now it may encourage us to give him more work. Wide receivers, Javon Robinson, as expected, is our number 1, but check out also Leo Blackburn. He went up 4 overalls with +3 speed and 7 agility. He has star development, and the senior is now capable of making some incredible plays, like he did against Georgia Southern. Tight ends, the transfer Camreen Johnson is our starter. He is the fastest at 78 speed. But I don't want to forget Matthew Erickson, even though he's buried in overall. The Camreen Johnson is so quick when running his routes, and he quickly won over our hearts when he made this ridiculous catch against 2 defenders at practice. Our offensive line didn't impress me all that much in terms of upgrades. Dominic Johnson did go up 5, but can that overtake these 3-star freshmen coming in? Ethan Charles will now move into left guard, but he didn't improve, which makes sense because he is a 1-star. but he did play very well last season. The rest of the offensive line is pretty standard to what we had last year, and there wasn't anything that stood out to us. We expect to play more freshmen this year anyways, pending on their overalls, and this line still needs a major overhaul. Zion Lawson, the sophomore, is going to be the anchor this year with Trey Grant. These two show tons of promise, and now they'll need to build on that with the departure of Marlon Dean. Sir Mel's went up +5. That's a huge upgrade, but the question is who is going to complement him as the number 2. We'll run a committee and see what sticks. Outside linebackers had a pretty decent upgrade, but this season we are going to roll with Kenzie Paul, who is the fastest of the bunch. And I doubt any of these mics are going to play over Terrell Bloomberg this year. And how about Antonio Wesley? +5 in overall, and that means more playing time. I just wish he could grow vertically for a linebacker. Corners were a problem last season, but Fabian Keith went up 9 overalls, and that was probably the highlight of the entire roster. Speed also improved. Bernard Causey now has 92 speed. Our secondary became a nice surprise because Grayson Bailey now replaces DIC Hopkins with +11, making him a 72 overall. I just wish the speed was better, but we'll take it. And it doesn't end there. Ronnie Crum, the redshirt freshman, takes a big lead and added 6 pounds of muscle as well. He now surpasses Derek Maxey, and I'm leaning on him starting this year. The special team matters too. Some small boost for Liam Rickman entering his senior year. But Damon White had a massive leap. Hopefully, we are done with these types of kicks like the one against Coastal Carolina. We were under the roster limit, so no need to encourage any transfers. I almost forgot. Troy is now a protected opponent, and we have ourselves a nice little rivalry building up here in the Fun Belt. And we'll talk about some new ones as well. Damian Wilson opted to transfer, and I'm going to play against 3 former players wherever they went. He ends up going to Miami, but he's not high on the depth chart for us to face him, so maybe next year. But Marlon Dean is now a Tennessee Volunteer, and Tennessee is now on the schedule, and he will be starting for them. Josiah Robinson is headed to the University of South Florida after turning us down. Hopefully we can show him that he made the wrong decision. Last but not least, DIC Hopkins. He's headed to Georgia Tech. He didn't travel far, and it didn't take them long to make him their captain. Which reminds me that Sir Mel's is now a captain for this team. He's earned it with his play, and he's proven to be reliable every game. All of these teams will be on the schedule, and I also included Jack State to our schedule, because I wanted a good old 0-star showdown, and they were the closest to the Southeast. And these will be all of the non-conference games entering the season, which will be quite a juicy start with tons of drama. So let's transition over to the freshmen coming into our program, starting with Charlie Connell. His caps for a 3-star is pretty good. His arm strength and honestly playing quarterback in general is going to need some work. I'm still adjusting to his throwing motion, and he's got room to develop, so he'll get the red shirt. But I do believe that he can be the future starter eventually. Max Cherry is the 2-star who is pretty capped out for throw strength, unfortunately. I like his throwing motion more, but it feels like he uses a ton of force to throw. And both of these quarterbacks will need development before we can put them out there, but we won't redshirt Cherry. Marco Hakeem is the 4-star running back with star development. I can't believe no one even gave him an offer and we swooped in. He'll be getting playing time as a freshman, and he's going to play the Rashad Amos role to start, and his carries can increase when Branson Robinson graduates. Tommy Fournette, the 2-star back. Not much to discuss here, he's going to be an emergency backup for us. Lorenzo Atwell, the 3-star receiver, has good size but 83 speed, and he's maxed out. That's a bit frightening, and we'll redshirt him to start as well. Josh Aday is going to be a fun player to watch, but he's maxed out with 87 speed. He does have all the tools to refine his skills as a receiver, but we'll see if he can separate like this when it's actually game time. Al Tobias, the 2-star, will receive the red shirt for his first year with us. I was worried when scouting him because of his speed, but thankfully there is room for him to become faster. My favorite prospect are these tackles that will secure the bookend of our line. George Fowler has impact development and he's going to be very powerful at the point of attack. We hope that's an upgrade than what Larkins gave us last year. Jimmy McCaffrey is the reason why Ethan Charles is going back inside. He's pretty quick with his feet and I'm hoping that can buy TJ Stanley some more time back there. We also brought in 2 guards, Tyrone Mixon and Johnny Gallagher, who will also be redshirted this year. Evan Mechie has impact development and I think he'll still need some more time to grow. I did see some twitchiness when rushing the passer, but we'll also give him the red shirt. Dion Rawlings is star development. He was a last-second recruit because we lost out on Ron Monroe, and turns out he's more than we could have hoped for. We will see him on the gridiron as a freshman on campus. My favorite prospect is Terrell Bloomberg. He's going to be a captain next year as a sophomore if all goes well. He's going to give us that speed we really lacked at the linebacker position and could help with those scrambling quarterbacks we struggled against last year. And hopefully Trevor Hester will line up next to him next season. But with Antonio Wesley's development, he will be redshirted his freshman year. I can't wait to see what he's like with a year of training under his belt. Our secondaries coming in are pretty slow. Thomas Bulaga is more of a zone corner, but he will get the red shirt. And Jason Talbot is long and rangy. He's going to see a good amount of playing time because of his 88 speed. Look how he towers over Javon Robinson to make this play. That's what we were missing last season. Then we have 3 safeties that were pretty concerning. They have plenty of time to work on their craft, but they all have similar issues when I was going through their skill caps. They all are in the low 80s in speed and are completely capped out in the 83 to 84 range. Damani Gainwell has the highest overall with a 72 and could be used out in coverage, but he's more of a box safety. There is one safety that brings something to the table, and that's Ben Camacho. He will be seeing some playing time this season, and that's mainly because of his speed out of the gate, and he can improve on that as well. Let's not forget our kicker, Jesus Urrutia. He is already a 77 overall and is our best kicker on the depth chart. I will opt to redshirt him so Liam Rickman can finish out his college career. As these new guys settle in, we are already looking for our next bunch of players to rebuild this program. But now we have 300 hours to work with. These are the penalties of being a 0-star team now. I handed out 16 scholarships and 6 of them are 4 stars. I wanted to take some more chances this season. And I want to come out of the gates of recruitment aggressively because we have been burned before. That also depends on how successful we are this year. We've got a new quarterback under center, and with Ted Hurst now in the NFL, we're looking for a new number 1 receiver to step up. So who will be the X factor on the offense besides Branson Robinson? On the other side of the ball, the defense has undergone a complete overhaul. A brand new identity with new faces ready to prove themselves. But are we better from a year ago with the max exodus of all of our star players? Guess we'll find out soon, and I'm excited to know what you guys think of the new changes to the team. Who are you excited about? Which games are you looking forward to the most? Let me know in the comments section. Next episode will feature Georgia Tech and USF. It's going to be so weird facing off DIC Hopkins to open the season, but this is the world we live in now. I'll dive into the new lineup and new recruits next episode, and I can't wait to see what Season 2 has in store. Please leave a like on the video and subscribe to help the channel, and let me know your thoughts as Season 2 is underway. Have a great day, everybody.